used to sleep in a car outside a Walmart. Now he tackles million-dollar quarterbacks on national TV. But what happened in between was never shown on ESPN. Micah Parsons wasn't born with a silver spoon. He was born with a storm. The kind of childhood most people wouldn't survive. Cold nights, empty fridges, sirens instead of lullabies. While other kids were picking video games, Micah was choosing which hoodie would keep him warmest while sleeping in a car with his mother. South Harrisburg didn't care if he made it. In fact, it bet against him. Teachers called him angry, unfocused, a problem. But no one asked why he was tired in class, or why his fists clenched during lunch when others had warm meals and he didn't. What they didn't know was this. Micah wasn't just fighting kids. He was fighting hunger, fighting statistics, fighting a world that told him, every day, you don't matter. But there was one thing they couldn't take from him, raw, unstoppable talent. On the field, Micah became something else, something free, fast, ferocious. Football gave him a voice. And when he played, even the streets went quiet. Coaches noticed. Recruiters whispered. And the kid who used to dodge gunshots after practice? Now colleges were flying in to see him. But nothing comes easy when you grow up with nothing. Micah had demons, tempers, trust issues. He nearly threw it all away more than once. He missed meetings, got into fights, walked out of practice. Some said, he's just another wasted talent. They didn't know he was still battling a past that haunted him like a shadow. But one coach saw something different. Not a threat, a survivor. He pulled Micah aside one day and said, "You're not broken, you're bruised. There's a difference." That changed something. Micah went silent. Then he went savage, on the field. Every snap, every tackle, it was personal. He wasn't just playing for wins. He was playing for the kid who went to bed hungry, for his mom who skipped meals so he could eat, for the version of himself everyone had given up on. The NFL came knocking, and Micah answered, loud. He ran faster, hit harder, read plays like poetry. Rookie of the year? Please. That was just the beginning. But here's what no stat sheet shows Micah never forgot. Not the hunger, not the cold, not the pain. He started giving back, mentoring kids who looked just like him, angry, tired, and forgotten. Because he knew talent is common, but survival, that's rare, that's power. He used to sleep in a car. Now he parks luxury SUVs next to the stadium. But the real flex? He still calls his mom every day. Still remembers every night he cried silently under broken streetlights. And still plays like every game is his last chance to be heard. They called him a problem, a thug, a dropout in the making. But Micah Parsons had something they didn't see coming. Heart. Now the whole world sees it, under stadium lights. And still, he's just getting started. They thought fame would change him. That the millions would soften his edge, calm his fire, make him forget the hunger. But Micah Parsons didn't come to the league to play nice. He came to dominate. And behind every sack, every tackle, was the same quiet rage he carried since childhood. The rage of being counted out. The rage of watching his mom cry because rent was late. The rage of being told, "You're not good enough," again and again. Training camp wasn't just drills to him, it was war. He didn't just run, he hunted. Every step was revenge. Every hit, personal. Veterans laughed at him at first. Rookie trying too hard, talking too loud. But they stopped laughing when he started racking up sacks like trading cards. When quarterbacks started whispering his name in the huddle like it was a warning. But greatness isn't just about what you do on the field. It's who you become off of it. One night, Micah sat alone in his hotel room. Lights off, TV muted. Just silence, the kind he hadn't heard in years. No sirens, no arguing neighbors, no creaking car seats. Just peace. And it scared him. Because when you grow up in chaos, calm feels unnatural. He picked up his phone, scrolled through his mom's messages. One from 3 years ago read, "Don't stop. You're all we got." He never replied to that one, but he never deleted it either. That night, he decided football wasn't enough. The money, the fame. It meant nothing if he couldn't change the place he came from. The streets that swallowed so many versions of him. So he started showing up, unannounced, at schools, at youth programs, at shelters. He didn't bring cameras, just presence, just time. Because he remembered what it felt like when no one showed up for him. People think strength is how hard you hit, but Micah knew better. Real strength is showing up even when the pain tells you not to, Even when your knees hurt and your trust is thin and your past is loud. That's why he plays the way he does. No mercy, no excuses. Because for every snap, he carries the weight of a neighborhood that almost buried him. And when the whistle blows, when the clock runs out, he doesn't raise his arms in celebration. He just walks off the field like it's not finished. Because for Micah Parsons, it never is. Success has a price, and Micah Parsons was starting to feel the cost. The world clapped when he won, but no one saw what it took to get out of bed the next morning. The injuries, the expectations, the pressure. Every hit reminded him of the nights he went without food. Every touchdown celebration reminded him of the birthdays he missed with his little sister while he was grinding through training camps. Everyone wanted a piece of him now. Coaches, brands, fans, even people who once ignored him when he had nothing. And sometimes he missed being invisible. One morning he sat at a diner alone, cap low, hoodie pulled tight. The waitress recognized him, but she didn't scream or ask for a picture. She just poured coffee and said, "You okay?" No cámaras, no agenda. Just a question no one had asked him in months. He didn't answer. But he tipped her more than her week's salary. Micah was learning that being great doesn't mean being whole. And healing? That's another kind of work. There were nights he still had nightmares of eviction notices, of his mom shaking him awake and whispering, "Get up, the landlord's coming." There were days he'd park his expensive car in front of a rundown gym and wonder, what if I hadn't made it out? But even as the weight got heavier, he never stopped showing up. On the field, he became a machine, unstoppable, precise, feared. But inside, he was still the same kid from Harrisburg, still unsure, still searching, still carrying too much alone. So he started therapy, quietly, no press release, no statement. Just one man trying to make sense of the storm inside. And that's where the real growth began, not in touchdowns or awards, but in the quiet work of unpacking years of silence. He talked about his father, about anger, about fear, about how fame made him feel lonelier than poverty ever did. And through that pain, he found something unexpected, clarity. He realized that pain didn't make him broken. It made him sharp. And now that sharpness had a purpose beyond football. He started speaking at schools, not just about sports, but about mental health, about being angry and scared and lost, about growing up without enough and still becoming more. And the kids listened, not because he was in the NFL, but because he was real. Micah wasn't just a linebacker anymore. He was a mirror, showing every struggling kid what survival could become. Micah once believed making it to the NFL would be the finish line. But standing on the biggest stage with thousands cheering his name, he realized it was just the beginning. The boy who once stared out a fogged car window wishing for warmth now stood in front of cameras and flashing lights. But in his heart, he was still that kid, still fighting to be seen for more than stats and headlines. Fame didn't erase the trauma. Money didn't fix the sleepless nights. The past doesn't vanish when your jersey sells out. It just rides with you, quiet, constant. He started building something beyond football. He poured into mentorship programs, launched foundations, paid for school lunches in districts that hadn't seen help in decades. But he didn't want his name on buildings. He wanted it whispered by kids who finally believed they could become more. One afternoon, he visited his old school. Same broken lockers, same cracked pavement. But this time, he wasn't a student dodging failure. He was a man walking in hope. A teacher pointed to a young boy sitting alone, head down. "That was you once," she said. Micah sat beside the boy. Didn't give a speech. Didn't say he played for the Cowboys. Just asked, "You hungry?" The boy nodded. Micah took him to lunch. That's it. Because sometimes healing doesn't come in headlines. It comes in presence, in quiet acts of kindness that no one will ever see. And that's what Micah understood now. Legacy isn't what you leave behind. It's who you lift while you're still here. The world sees a star athlete. But Micah Parsons? He's something rarer, a man who turned his pain into purpose. A story that didn't end with escape, but with return. He ran from the fire, then came back with water. And because of that, he didn't just survive the system, he's helping others rewrite it.